If you get bailiffs knocking, it's a good idea to have a notice of removal of implied right of access on your front door. This applies to both bailiffs and policymen, and also TV licence as well. And of course census, anybody. You can also post up the policyman's oath and have a copy on the inside as well. Thus, if the bailiff actually manages to return with a policyman, you can say through the door, your oath of office is posted on the door. This is what you solemnly swore to do. In order to obtain your warrant card, read it carefully and reconsider it carefully, especially the bit about fundamental human rights. And then you'll realise you should not be here. The policeman's oath is, I, do solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will well and truly serve the Queen in the office of Constable. Constable. Magna Carta says constable, sheriffs and bailiffs. Magna Carta 45 says constables, beg your pardon, yes, here's 45. Constables, sheriffs and bailiffs, that's the law of the land applied. We will appoint constables, sheriffs and bailiffs who know the law and are minded to observe it well. Constable, office of constable, with fairness, integrity, diligence and impartiality, upholding fundamental human rights. Not Human Rights Act human rights, not European Court human rights, but fundamental human rights. And according equal respect to all people, not corporations. And I will, to the best of my power, cause the peace to be kept and preserved. Their job is to prevent breaches of the peace. Not actually to at 3 a.m. in the morning, breaching everybody's peace. Actually. Cause the peace to be kept and preserved and prevent all offences against people and property. And you're standing there next to the bailiff threatening to break my door down. No. Your job is to prevent offences against people and property. His warrant doesn't say that it was signed by a judge acting under their oath of office. It's not, therefore, a lawful warrant. You have got to stop him from breaking my door down, not help him. And while I continue to hold said office, I will, to the best of my skill and knowledge, discharge all the duties thereof faithfully according to law. And if you want to know what law is, officer, read it. That's where it says it, just above. Get him to read it out loud a few times, repeat fairness, integrity, diligence, impartiality a few times, stress the word fundamental in fundamental human rights, which does not mean, therefore, any Human Rights Act, but it means indefeasible. What does indefeasible mean? Can't be taken away under any circumstances. Your right to life, your right to self-defence. Tell him according to law means read the whole paragraph and think about it. The notice of removal of implied right of access. I have to split that over 4 pages. On this PowerPoint. To all that it concerns, notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent applies. Notice of removal of implied right of access. You are advised to read the following notice thoroughly and carefully. It is a lawful notice. It informs you. It means what it says. I hereby give notice that the implied right of access to the property known as, and you put in your address and postcode, and surrounding areas has been removed, along with all associated property, including, but not limited to, any private conveyance in respect of the following. Any employee, principal agent, third party or representative or any other person acting on behalf of or under the instruction of Her Majesty's Court Service. Oh, that reminds me. Oh, that reminds me. I presume most of you know what a swipe card is. A swipe card, it's a kind of a plastic card that they give to employees with a magnetic strip on the back so they can swipe it through a machine and they can get into through doors and maybe sign on in the morning and sign off with the swipe card. Yeah, that kind of thing. It's about the size of a credit card. Okay, I did a talk in Liverpool last Tuesday. And when we cleared up afterwards, we found a swipe card on the floor. You probably can't see this because it's a bit small. It's D. McGinnity's swipe card, and he works for Her Majesty's Court Service. We were thinking of ringing them up, Merseyside HMCS. We were thinking of ringing them up and saying that it was handed in by a 14-year-old choir boy. And I want to, before I go on, I just want to read something else out, by the way, something else I forgot. Can we just coming back to money for a second? And mortgages. Norman Montague was a governor of the Bank of England, and way back I do remember his signature, the signature Norman Montague, being on not this style of tenor, but I think the old, very old white ones. When I was young, they were kind of white, quite large. And I remember Montague Norman's signature. And he was the governor of the Bank of England, and he was addressing the Bankers Association in New York City in 1924. And I'm going to read a quotation. And this quotation was reprinted in the Idaho Leader in the USA on the 26th of August 1924. And has been read into the Australian Federal Hansard twice. Once by John Evans MP in 1926, and also by MD Cowan MP within the session 1930-1931. And what Montague Norman told the Americans was this: capital must protect itself in every possible way, both by combination and legislation. Debts must be collected, mortgages foreclosed as rapidly as possible. When, through process of law, well, he meant legal, of course, but he said law. When, through process of law, the common people lose their homes, they will become more docile and more easily governed through the strong arm of the government applied by a central power of wealth under leading financiers. These truths are well known among our principal men, who are now engaged in forming an imperialism to govern the world. By dividing the voter through the party political system, we can get them to expend their energies in fighting for questions of no importance. It is thus, by discreet action, we can secure for ourselves that which has been so well planned and so successfully accomplished. If that doesn't say it all, I'd like to know what does. Okay, right, going back to this, any agent, any employee, principal, of Her Majesty's Court Service or any other corporate body, i.e. company, howsoever named. Any police officer, underlined, who is acting for the corporate police and not acting as a constable on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II and her people as expressed in the oath of office of all policemen and women, that is, as public servants, upon your oath of office to serve with fairness, integrity, diligence and impartiality, upholding fundamental human rights and according equal respect to all people, and that they will, to the best of their power, cause the peace to be kept and prevent all offences against people and property. Common law jurisdiction applies exclusively. Fundamentally, if you want to use this, you need to download the PowerPoint and basically copy it out. So I'm not really going to go through all this. I mean, it's all good stuff, but I'll leave you to study that yourself and get onto the last screen where basically that's the last screen and you just change your calling to my calling to your calling. Right. Oh, common assault, yes. It occurs if you ever feel that your personal safety is under threat. It does not have to be physical. It can be mental. Common assault can be mental. If someone comes towards you in a threatening manner, they have assaulted you. If you feel your safety is threatened. Thus, if someone else is in the house when a bailiff or policeman threatens to break down the door, that someone else has been assaulted. Mummy, Daddy, are they going to break the door down? I think they might. Oh, I'm not, I'm frightened. They've assaulted your kids. In these circumstances, it's a good idea to point that out. After all, a bashed-in door would leave the other occupants unprotected, especially if it's pointed out to the policyman, listen, mate, this is not your fight. Your duty is to keep the peace, not to conspire to breach it. You're well out of your solemn duty and jurisdiction, unless, of course, you're prepared to guard the door until it's replaced, and that could take a week. The general policyman on the doorstep routine. Do you have reason to suspect there is a wanted person on these premises, and have you obtained a lawful warrant of entry in order to arrest that person? No, I'm helping the bailiff. Do you have reason to suspect that there are stolen goods on these premises, and have you obtained a lawful warrant of entry in order to search for them? Well, no, I'm accompanying this bailiff. Do you have reason to suspect there are illicit drugs on these premises, and have you obtained a lawful warrant in order to search for them? Well, no, I'm accompanying the bailiff. Do you hear a fracas going on, such as to give you the cause to believe that someone's life or limb may be in danger? Well, no. Then your sole point in being here is to prevent breaches of the police, my peace included. You can do that by arresting the bailiff for unlawfully breaching my peace. Debt collectors and bailiffs. The first thing you receive is a demand acting on behalf of someone else, often accompanied by a toilet paper warrant, rubber stamped by a deputy district judge, if you remember, a solicitor who does the job between 5 and 15 days a year. He's at the Northampton Bulk Clearing Centre, that's already discussed. But what's the real situation? As a human being, in common law, you are bound only in honour by obligations you have specifically agreed. You are bound in honour by them if you make an agreement. It comes back to taking responsibility for your actions and so on, but that's all. You can't be bound in honour by something somebody else has agreed on your behalf.